I've been sitting in front of this camera for the last 5 minutes, kind of trying to motivate myself to press record. It's one of those days where I'm really irritated, and Stella is not helping. I've been having a really shitty week, if I'm gonna be completely honest. I wish I could come on and be like, hey, I had the most productive week and I did so much knitting, but that would be a lie. In reality, I spent a lot of time crying and in the bathtub because things just aren't feeling okay for me right now. So I just wanted to do a bit of a check-in, and a little bit of a conversation about, I guess, just this podcast and things in general. There is a little bit of knitting. I do have a project that I would love to share, and some other news regarding the sweater KAL. But right now, it's more of a check-in. So depending on how this goes in editing, there's Lucy. Nobody's ever seen Lucy in the background. I'm in my bed. My fiance is in Jasper this weekend teaching a scuba diving course with a friend. So he's not home. He hasn't been home since Friday morning. But yeah, I want to do a little bit of a check-in and just a little bit of a discussion about what this podcast is and what I ideally want it to be and what I guess I see happening for it, as well as a question for you guys. So I guess we'll just get on with it. Depending on how this goes in editing, if you're just not interested in listening to me bitch about my life for a bit, that's totally fine. I will put a little comment in the thing, and you can skip ahead to the time where I stop talking about stuff, and you can just go right into the knitting part. So I guess, first of all, I just wanted to thank everybody for watching. I really want to thank people for subscribing. As of this podcast, we're sitting at 298 subscribers, which is 298 more than I was expecting to get. I really appreciate you guys for sticking around, for watching every week. If this is your first time coming into the podcast, maybe not a good episode to start with, but the other ones are available. And I guess let's just get right into the nitty-gritty of everything. So as most of you know, depression and anxiety is a huge part of my life. I struggle with it, some days more than others, and this week has just been a colossal mess, I guess. Once again, there's nothing in particular that's making me feel this way. It's just, it happens. So yeah, been really struggling with some personal stuff this week, and I guess the thing that I think is really not ironic or funny or anything like that, but I was watching Shannon's from Socksetera. I was watching her podcast yesterday when my sister-in-law Carla mentioned that it had gone up, and we were kind of talking about like how things are going and how I'm just kind of not having such a super fun ride. So I thought it was really soothing, I guess, that I'm not the only one who's kind of dealing with a lot of crap right now, and I always appreciate it when Shannon posts stuff like that because it makes me feel so much less alone. It's witching hour. Yeah, but I guess over the last week there's been a lot of self-doubt and self-depreciation, and my depression doesn't usually take on any kind of awful, and the camera moves because the cats are crazy. My depression usually doesn't take on any kind of like crazy self-harm ideation, suicide ideation, anything like that. Mine just usually means I'm gonna rip myself to pieces and make myself feel like the dumpster fire that I believe I should feel like. And I guess over the last couple months, it's been really hard for me to manage this because I haven't had any will to work out or to do anything positive for myself because I don't think I deserve to feel like a good person or be a good person. So yeah, things haven't been easy for the last week. So there hasn't been a lot of knitting. There hasn't been a lot of anything, and I feel a weird bit of, not resentment, but a little bit of just like not quite the right motivation when it comes to this podcast right now. And I know that I feel like my quality in the last couple episodes has been really thumbs down. I can't get my lighting to be nice, although it's nice in here, so maybe I'll just podcast in here all the time. But yeah, I've been fighting with lighting, I've been fighting with content, I've been fighting with trying to have things to talk about, things that are interesting and informative, but at the same time, I totally acknowledge that I'm not really that fantastic of a knitter. I don't get a lot of like math or anything like that, so like I don't feel confident in adapting patterns or really doing anything outside of the norm of just knitting. So for me, I kind of feel like this imposter syndrome when it comes to podcasting, because I'm not anything special in the grand scheme of things. And I guess with so many people popping up in podcasting and so many different podcasts being available, I kind of debate the merit of me continuing to throw my hat in the ring. Podcasting has been really fun, and like honestly, this could be just me in my realm of self-delusion, and I totally acknowledge that. Like, I'm so grateful that people actually watch me, because I don't understand, I guess, the value of just having another person just doing what I'm doing. So I really like that episode that Steph did from Milkshed Blog, where she had a DTR where it's like define the relationship. And I guess for me, maybe it's a scheduling thing, and maybe once a week just really isn't something that should happen, especially in my case when I have a lot of stuff going on. I work full time. I am supposed to be working out, and I am supposed to be keeping my life in order, and I feel like I've been sacrificing a lot of stuff for myself to do this. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like, really, this is fun. I enjoy doing it. It's great connecting with people and having a community that I'm a part of. But I'm so driven to keep up, I guess, with the pack. And it's not necessarily standing out from the pack that I feel like I'm doing. I'm just keeping up. And that isn't a good feeling when you're kind of just like, well, why am I doing this? Any free moment that I've had over the last couple months, I've been trying to knit so that I have something to showcase. But I haven't been keeping up with household stuff. I haven't been eating properly. I haven't been exercising. And I need to strike more of a balance when it comes to putting myself first and not putting parts of myself first for the internet, I guess. I hope this makes sense. Like, I don't want to come across as just like ungrateful and miserable, because it's really not what I want. But I think that there needs to be, especially going forward for the next couple weeks and next couple months, I need to put more of my energy and my effort into making sure that I'm okay, because I'm not. So a lot of that comes with exercising. Exercising is so important if you've ever been, diagnosed with a chronic issue such as depression. I find that I have so much mental energy and that goes into just being really negative and tearing myself apart, and worrying about stuff that hasn't happened or isn't happening or could happen, or just anything in general, that I spend so much of that energy in my head instead of physically, where I could get it out in a healthy, productive way. So I think for the next little bit it's going to be hard, because I'm going to have to push myself to work out, because I hate it, and I honestly have gained a bunch of weight and I don't feel good, and my sports bra doesn't fit, and the last time that I wore it, it ripped like skin in my underarms, and I just feel like a garbage fire right now. And just kind of changing that mindset to be like, you deserve to feel better, you deserve to feel good about yourself, and you deserve to feel like what you're doing to help yourself is worth it in the long run, because I think I get so caught up in cutting myself down and telling myself that, you know, you don't deserve to do anything, and it really destroys a lot of the good stuff you have going for you. So that being said, I don't think I'm going to try and podcast every week anymore, because a week is really short, and I would rather have better episodes than consistent episodes, because consistency is good. Like, I understand that consistency is really good, but I also feel like being consistent for the sake of being consistent and not necessarily having anything new or informative or interesting to show is just kind of wearing me down a bit. So I think going forward it'll be an every 2 week thing, because this takes a lot of time to do, even if, you know, it seems fairly straightforward. Editing, recording, uploading is a nightmare, and anyone who regularly uploads things to YouTube knows what kind of like a mental drain that can be sometimes. So I'd like to do this as a bi-weekly thing, maybe with some vlogging, because that's nice and easy, just that kind of stuff. I also would really like to force myself back into exploring other things other than knitting. That's really the whole point of this whole thing, was to kind of explore and learn different avenues of crafting, different mediums, different things that exist. And I've kind of been fixated on the knitting thing because it's addictive. There's so many different things that you can do, and once I kind of get the hang of something, I'm really hesitant to move on to anything else, because I hate learning and having that awkward learning period before you actually get good at something. So this is kind of a comfort thing, and this is also kind of a depression thing for me as well, where I stick with what's comfortable. I don't leave my house, I don't go out, I don't meet with friends. I just kind of hermit crab myself into what feels relatable and reliable and consistent and safe. So I can feel myself slipping back into that place. I'm having issues at work again where I'm just not motivated to do anything. I'm having issues at home where I'm internalizing a lot of the stuff that I'm feeling and experiencing, which is causing kind of a relationship thing, because my fiance doesn't know what's going on and I'm not talking to him. So I kind of want to nip this in the bud before it gets any worse and before things kind of start downsliding. So I can feel myself on the threshold of just coming down off that normalcy cliff, and I really want to kind of combat that and not let myself just kind of sulk, because I don't want to do that. I want to stay consistent, and I want to stay okay, and I want to not, you know, turtle inside of myself and just kind of die a little bit. So that's kind of where I'm sitting right here. I'm not sure really, and I guess this is where the question part comes in, like what do you ideally want to see in this podcast? What are some of the things that keep you coming back, I guess? Because while I'm kind of meandering and trying to figure out what this podcast is to me, I'd love to hear what it is to you. And, you know, like, I don't know. Is there stuff that I should be doing different? Are there things that you'd like to see integrated? Are there, you know, segments that you would love to ideally see? There's so many things that I would like to do and that I want to do that I am just kind of fighting because I'm tired. My body is tired, my mind is tired, and usually starting something new is like exhausting and scary. So I want to be doing a lot of things that I'm just not doing because I am not organizing my time productively, and I'm, you know, just trying to figure out how to like keep afloat day to day right now, and it's exhausting. But, you know, like, I'd love to do at least once a month something off of Pinterest and kind of review how it goes, kind of similar to the vein of like a Pinterest fail, but hopefully not a fail. So going through and like doing a tutorial that I find online and following through on it and making a project. So I don't know if that would come more in like a vlog section where we just do that one specific thing, or if that just becomes a part on the podcast, but I'd really kind of like to start doing more like home improvement, decor, just making random things that don't necessarily relate to knitting. But I feel like since there's been so much knitting on this that I don't want to like isolate like the knitting base that I have. I don't know. So I guess at this point I'm just kind of open to any suggestions, any recommendations, any kind of like, I don't know, just kind of like what you're feeling. Because I am having a good time doing this, but I kind of just feel a little lost, and I don't feel like I'm offering anything that isn't already being offered by somebody who's doing this better than me. So, yeah. Anyways, my cat is really annoying. I don't know if I've ever showed my donut mug. It's from David's Tea. It's got coffee in it right now. But like this donut obsession is getting a little ridiculous. Anyways, cool. Thanks for hanging out with me for the last 16 minutes, but now I'm just gonna like do the normal thing. Anyways, God, I am on a roll. My name is Sarah. I am the usual host of this podcast, and welcome to Make Things Club. You stop it. I live in Edmonton, Alberta, which is in Canada, and it is Sunday, June 5th, I believe. Can you quit it? Yeah, Sunday, June 5th. So the Pride Parade was yesterday. It was really loud and wonderful. I didn't leave my house for it because I am a hermit crab and I wanted to clean. So I listened to the parade from my apartment and basically stayed inside. Ooh, we've got to cut those nails. But yeah, I live in Edmonton, Alberta with my 2 cats and my fiance. I forget what I'm supposed to be doing right now. Oh, right. If you want to follow along, I am known as Loose Pages on the internet, so that includes Twitter, Reddit, Pinterest, Snapchat. I'm embarrassingly reading the manual on how to use Snapchat because I'd like to actually use it. I just don't understand what it's for. So I am the 30-year-old technology idiot who reads the Snapchat manual on the internet because I just don't get it. Anyways, I can be found as Loose Pages pretty much anywhere that there's a sign-in on the internet, with the exception being Ravelry because someone already had it. So on Ravelry, I can be found as Romperlust. There is a group for the podcast. If you search Make Things Club, it should come up and you can join. There is a knit-along happening right now, and it's fairly small and quiet, and that's okay. But we are doing the Knit City Sweater 2016 KAL, and the premise is basically you have to knit a sweater for yourself for Knit City, and we will be doing prizes, and yeah, I have updates on that. So the whole incident with Cottage Craft for the yarn delivery went horribly sideways. I am trying to cancel my order with my credit card right now because it's just not happening and I'm starting to get really upset. So I had ordered yarn originally in April and it has not shipped. It has not done anything, basically. So they charged my card. I didn't get any shipping notifications. They haven't shipped it. I have no timeline for when that would ship, so I'm basically just trying to cancel the entire thing because this whole experience has been the ultimate thumbs down emoji. So I am just trying to cancel the entire thing. I went to my local yarn store on Thursday and bought myself some new yarn to do my sweater with because I'm not waiting around anymore. So bought this. So this is Rowan Pure Wool Superwash Worsted yarn. I don't know what the name of the colorway is, but it's got a bunch of numbers. Delicious, delicious numbered colorways. They're so enticing and wonderful. So this is like not showing up true. Oh, I guess this is actually as true color as it can get. So when I posted it on Instagram, it looked a lot more silver. When I sent the picture to my mom and my future sister-in-law to kind of just be like, yo, which one do you think? It looked more gray. So this is just like a really soft beigey gray. I think it'll look pretty good with my pale ass skin. So I got 7 balls of this. There are 219 yards per ball, so I'm estimating I will need at least 1,500 yards, which will give me a bunch left over. So I'm not gonna be concerned about not having enough. The problem with this, and this goes back to the depression thing, I tried to gauge swatch this week and I ended up crying for 3 hours. So things are going to go slow because I am not feeling confident about the pattern I chose, because now I've read through it and I'm like, holy shit, there's short rows that are wrapped that I've never done. So there's a lot of techniques that I haven't done yet. There's a sweater that I've never made before. And now I'm like a month behind. I'm probably over a month behind because I haven't swatched yet. So I'm feeling a little nervous and anxious about that. But honestly, I can't win prizes. So if I'm a little late, or, you know, I'm not going to put too much pressure on myself because I don't need to be crying over this again. I'm having a hard time getting gauged. But I'm going to keep trying. Because what else can I do? So yeah, this is going to be my Rosemont, because I've been saying it wrong this entire time. The Rosemont cardigan by Henna Fedig, which, I have a pattern right here, looks like that. Yeah, awesome. So that's happening. If you are part of the KAL, the hashtag is hashtag KC Sweater 2016. I'd love to spy on your progress, so just use the hashtag. There's also a chatter thread in the Ravelry group. I know that Relentless Knitting Company is also taking part in this with me. If anybody else wants to join in, there's still lots of time. The cast on date was May 1st and it goes until September 15th, so there's still lots of time to jump in. If you want to donate a prize, let me know. I've got a couple prizes already figured out, which I won't talk about today, but they exist. And other than that, you're more than welcome to join in. The second KAL that I will be co-hosting will be the Canada KAL, which is headed by the ladies of the Two Tangled Skeins podcast. And since it is June, that will take place in less than a month. So the premise is to use Canadian designers, wools, anything that represents Canada in any way, and cast on date is July 1st, which is Canada Day. And I actually have 2 things that I already have scheduled to make during that time. I have an embarrassing hamper full of stuff that I need to organize from my office. If you remember last time, I was kind of talking about how overwhelmed I was about just everything in my space. So I'm starting to combat that by just getting, oh my god, this is crazy. Just trying to get everything off of my surfaces. So a bunch of stuff got piled into this hamper. And I have to sort through it, which I'm not interested in doing right now, but there are a couple things in the bottom, of course, the very bottom of this, that I would like to talk about. God, now I feel really self-conscious. Like, this is crazy. Why do I have so much yarn and I'm not even using it? What is wrong with me? Oh, Lord. Okay. So, I did get a couple things in the mail, and oh no. I did get a couple things in the mail, and I did want to talk about them. I don't really want to do stash enhancements per se this week, because there's really no point. But if you remember correctly, I ordered a bunch of yarn from Sweet Fiber, and I accidentally got the red ones. Okay. Now there's a bug. But I accidentally bought the red ones when I was supposed to buy the orange ones. So this is the flannel colorway. this I intend on making the forager scarf with. So that is a pattern by Nicola. I can't remember her last name, but she is a friend of Sylvia, Soft Sweater in Ravelry, and they usually do all of their like photography and knitting projects kind of in tandem. So Nicola will model a lot of Sylvia's patterns, but Nicola also does some designing as well. So she has the forager scarf, and I would like to make the forager scarf out of this. And then my proper order for another sweet fiber binge, no, don't you dare, is the orange one. So I got this week the other two. I just love this. I got the other two skeins. So, and they're actually really pretty close, so I don't even think I'll need to alternate. I probably still will. But I don't care. It's fine. But these ones are going to be the Authenticity Shawl, which is by Sylvia. So those two, because they're bulky, it's pretty thick strands, shouldn't take too long. So that will be a twofer. So Canadian yarn, Canadian designer, probably Canadian project bag. So that's 3 entries per project that I can enter into the KAL. So if you want more information about the KAL, anyone, it's open to anyone, it's not just us Canadians. But you can look on the Two Tangled Skeins group. I have some information on my group in the chatter thread, and I'm pretty sure that like all of the Canadian podcasters are going to be taking part in it. So it's going to be a big deal. It's going to be a lot of fun. Lots of cool stuff happening. Lots of Canadian yarn. I already own a lot, so it should be pretty easy to crank out a couple projects with that. So those are the plans for that KAL. Other than that, that's it for KALs. And the only thing that I've really been working on this week, I've been going through a bit of a knitting schlump to echo Katie from Inside Number 23. A knitting schlump. But I guess I decided last week that was just because I was super bored. I kind of started this whole knitting thing with the hope that every project that I do or that I was working on would teach me at least one new thing about knitting, or a new technique, or something just to kind of keep me on my toes. That hasn't been happening a lot, because once you kind of master increases, decreases, knitting, purling, it's kind of all very similar. And I talked last time about just kind of wanting to avoid like long rows. So shawls are kind of out for right now. I'm really trying to keep up on my waiting for rain shawl, but I'm really bored by the garter stitch, so I kind of haven't been working on that as much. I still have like 14 more rows of like 200 plus stitches to just knit. I need 14 rows of garter before I can even start the second lace insert, so I haven't been as attentive on that as I would like to. Okay, no. My cat is now eating all of my yarn. Don't do that, you little turd. I'm sorry, I'm really scattered, but so with my fiance being away this weekend, I wanted to sleep in yesterday, and my cat, like, Stella was just bugging me. She was like licking my face with her sandpaper tongue and walking on my pillow and scratching me and like just standing on my body. And like, if you've ever you are so bad. If you've ever had a cat stand on you, for some reason it's like as soon as their paw touches your skin, it's like a lead weight, and it actually quite hurts. So I kicked her out of the bedroom and shut the door, and I shut the door so that the door clicked, and I woke up 2 hours later and she was sleeping on my pillow, like right above my head. And she's learned how to open doors. She did it again this morning when I kicked her out because she was bugging me. So my cat is now a velociraptor from Jurassic Park and can open doors. Stop being a shit. Yeah, just quit it. Go somewhere else. No, that's my yarn. But yeah, I'm just getting really bored. So I was messing around on Pinterest and deleting stuff that no longer applies to me, and then I discovered when I first found the pine bough cowl, it was before I even knit, and someone just had a picture of it, someone wearing it, and I pinned it. Oh my god, if you could see what my cat is doing right now. She's so bad. I pinned it and was just like, wow, this is sweet. And it was before I even knit, before I even wanted to knit. And I ended up buying all the yarn for it last year. The very first time I ever walked into a yarn store, like an actual yarn store, was in Kelowna with my future sister-in-law, Carla. And she took me to Kelowna Yarn and Needle Crafts, and I found Kenzie Haiku yarn. And this is the Oceana colorway. So I bought this with, I don't even think it was that project in mind. I just bought this, and then I was like, oh, it's the same yarn that cowl uses. So I had the Oceana, but I didn't have the other color, and I really wanted to use the colors that were on the sample knit. So last year, right before Christmas, when we were there visiting, I went to the yarn store in Vernon, which is just out of Kelowna, not too far, and found the Kiwi colorway. So both of these together means that I had the yarn for it. So I was kind of thinking the other day, why don't I just start, I want to knit from stash. I have that in stash. I want this yarn, or I want this cowl, so why don't I just do it? It also involved learning provisional cast on, which is awkward because I don't understand crochet, and I don't understand crochet hooks if it's not to fix drop stitches. I don't quite know what to do with it, so I had to learn a provisional cast on, which I did with purple yarn here. And it sucked because I can't just pull the needle through, so I had to like lift all of the strands of yarn, and it's 100 stitches. So, oh, and by the way, this cowl that I'm talking about is the pine bough cowl, and it's by Diana Walla, and it's a free pattern on Ravelry. So just so that you actually know what I'm talking about, because I'm just going for it today. My cat is ridiculous. But yeah, it's a provisional cast on. It's stranded color work, so I had to learn how to knit with my left hand and my right hand at the same time. And I also had to learn how to deal with my floats. So basically when you're knitting and you don't carry your yarn properly, you're gonna get like, and there's a couple in here that are too long. So there's gonna be these long floats. And with this project, I guess it really doesn't matter as much how your floats are because nobody's ever gonna see the wrong side. But it's a good practice, I guess, to get into the habit of carrying your yarn so that you can't snag it or catch it on stuff, because not everything is going to be sewn together. So basically, I started learning how to do stranded color work and have been working on my pine bough cowl. Totally inappropriate knit for the season because this is luscious. This is going to cause many warm winter nights in the future to be less cold and miserable. So basically the premise is you've got these pine boughs. This is all chart A. So you start with just like a little setup row, you do the chart 3 times, and then you do the second. There's 3 different charts per section. So this all is chart A. I started chart B yesterday, so they're all gonna go the opposite ways. And then there's other sections of like stripes and whatever. But once you're done, you take out your provisional cast on and you graft both edges together. So I know a lot of people at work were like, that's not gonna fit over your head, because they thought it goes this way. But essentially you're just knitting a big tube and then you're sewing the tube together so that it's just one continuous shawl. So I'm really enjoying this. I'm having a lot of fun kind of enjoying just having more to do than just knit stitch. Oh, and then I bit the bullet. This was one of the birthday purchases I made last month for my birthday month. I ordered 2 charms from Sucra Sucra on Etsy. This is my donut, which I'm in love with. And then, the other one that I ordered because why not? It's just this really cute little piece of cake. So they're a lot more spongy than I was expecting them to be, but they're gorgeous. Like this is freaking art. Can we just talk about this for a second? She makes these by hand. She doesn't use molds, and that's ridiculous. So chubby girl loves cake. Chubby girl's gonna try not to eat so much cake. So chubby girl's gonna have a bunch of progress markers that are cake. So this has basically been the only thing that I've been working on for the last week, and I really, really like it. It's gonna be super awesome. Hopefully it matches my winter jacket. But yeah, other than that, I haven't really been doing too much knitting. Well, that's been the only project. And I guess that's kind of one of the things that I've never really expected to say. I'm not usually a monogamous knitter, but I've very much so become one. And I feel like that's also another reason why I need to start doing other crafts on this podcast, because if I'm just going to be a monogamous knitter and work on basically one project at a time, that's going to get really boring for you guys if I keep showing it over and over and over. So I need to like up my skills or something. Other than that, yeah, it's just been a really stupid rough week. Not a lot else going on because I'm just kind of dealing with the bare minimum right now that I can. Yeah, so hopefully I can come to a little bit more of a healthy personal aspect of my entire life that will kind of allow me to balance things a little bit differently and better, so that I'm taking more time to do things that are important for myself, not just things that I have to do. So I don't know, I always feel weird when I finish talking about knitting, because like it's not like I necessarily go too much into my personal life, but I already did that in this episode. So maybe I should just call it. Should I call it? I want to organize my life a little bit better, so hopefully the next time that I podcast inside the office space, it's less ridiculous than it is right now. I think that I really want to try a different method of yarn storage, because I don't want to cake all my yarn up, because I do find that that's not healthy for the yarn. So I might just start hanging it on the pegboard, or I might put it in a cupboard. I don't know. I don't understand the whole like moth thing, because that's another thing now that it's nice outside and summer is coming. I'm not quite sure if I should be concerned about that or not. Like, I live in Edmonton, it's dry as hell, there's no humidity ever. Like, should I be concerned about bugs? Should I be doing something right now that I'm not doing? If you have any info on bugs, let me know, because that's another thing that I'm starting to think that I should be concerned about. So yeah, I guess that's pretty much it for me this week. It's been kind of a mellow deal with my own personal shortcomings kind of week. So, oh, I didn't talk about Knit City. So the class list, or yeah, the educational class list was released this week. And if you haven't seen it yet, you can check it out at knitsocial.ca/calendar-of-events. They released the class lists, and there are two that I'm fairly confident I'm going to be taking. One of them is Grok the Sock with Stephanie Pearl McPhee, and I took a class with Stephanie last year, and she is a goddess. She's also doing one of the lectures in the evening, which is amazing because I just want to be near her all the time. She's a fantastic person. She's so knowledgeable, she's so personable, she's so entertaining, and just so, like, I'm in awe of her. Like, I'm gonna have so many fangirl moments. I had fangirl moments last year just because I knew she wrote books and stuff, but now that I've read them and I've done one of her classes and she's just such a like incredible person, there's gonna be a lot more fangirling. So I'm definitely gonna be trying to get my bum into the Grok the Sock class, which is on Sunday morning at 10. Then the other class that I kind of want to take, and I'm not completely sold on it the way that I am with the Grok the Sock class, and it's the Intro to Brioche with Kate Atherley. And I'm thinking that learning brioche stitch on my own will be considerably harder than if somebody teaches me. I have a really hard time learning things on my own. I'm a very tactile learner. I can't just listen to somebody do something or watch somebody do something. I need to be doing it and having them showing me what to do while I'm doing it. So I'm thinking that if I take a brioche class with Kate, who is like another amazing person that I love, it'd just be easier to kind of have that guidance. Also, you know, when inevitably mistakes come up, I imagine fixing brioche would be a lot harder than just fixing a drop stitch. So I'm very much like 80% set on taking the intro to brioche class, which is on Sunday afternoon. But there's also the shawl shapes with Susan B. Anderson that I'm thinking of taking, but I only want to sign up for 2 classes. So it's kind of at this point, should I do intro to brioche or should I do shawl shapes? I'm not quite sure. The thing that's keeping me from signing up from the shawl shapes class is that I don't think I'm going to be interested in doing design anytime soon. I'm not ruling it out for the future, but right now I think I've got so much learning to do that trying to set myself up to do a design aspect would just be too much for me right now. So maybe next year. But I think this year I really kind of just want to learn brioche and I want to learn how to just master socks. So that's kind of what I'm leaning towards for Knit City. I really am excited now that they've released the classes. I have a hotel room reserved at the Atrium, which is right across the street. I'm just at this point needing to save money. God, that's hard. So another reason why I kind of feel weird about the podcasting thing is just because I really can't afford to just throw money at stuff to show. And I think I got into the habit of that where I would just buy cool stuff just to be like, look what I bought. And I really don't want to fall into that habit. I really want to minimize my life, my like wardrobe, my just random stuff laying around. So I really don't want to be spending too much money on yarn going forward because I have a lot of stuff that I need to knit with first. So that's kind of another reason why I'm just like, maybe I'm just not cut out for this podcast business because I just don't want to spend too much money, and I'm really kind of needing to figure out my finances with, you know, planning a wedding coming up and all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, maybe I should just knit a bunch of stuff. I have so much yarn. You haven't seen all of it. I don't know. I'm just feeling really weird about this podcast thing and just my place in it. So like I said before, if you guys have any suggestions or just encouragement or just kind of things that you find valuable, let me know, because I really want this to be a collaborative thing. And I kind of feel like I'm dictating the terms and I'm just unfit to be dictating anything to anybody right now. So that being said, I've got a lot of thinking to do, a lot of knitting to do, a lot of cleaning to do, a lot of introspection to do, a lot of figuring out my life. And thanks for kind of putting up with this weird talk episode where I just talked about stuff that doesn't relate to anything. But yeah, I'm really glad that you guys are along for the ride, and I'm thankful. So I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing right now, and I'm not sure when I'll be podcasting next. Next week I have to work on Saturday. The week after that is bachelorette party with my future sister-in-law, and then their wedding is in 3 weeks. So once my brother's wedding is kind of done, I think us having to plan our own wedding is gonna kind of take over. So I don't want to be feeling like I have to record just because you guys are expecting it. I want you guys to really enjoy the content that I'm putting out. So if I'm not recording an episode, I apologize for not being consistent, but in reality I'd rather have a better episode than just something I threw together for the sake of just being regular every week. So I will be putting, I'm gonna try, I'm so behind with my show notes. I hate doing show notes. And I'm 3 episodes behind now, so I should just spend a day getting caught up. I'll feel so much better. But I will be trying to redo how I'm doing my show notes, where I'm putting my show notes, how all of that stuff is happening. So stay tuned. There's just going to be a lot of upheaval and change. I'm trying to remember that change isn't all bad. So just stick with me for the next little bit, and hopefully it'll turn out to be well worth the experiment. So that being said, I'm gonna sign off because there's no groceries in my house, my apartment is a mess, and my fiance is gonna be home in like 8 hours, and I need to, you know, make it look like I didn't just rip everything apart while he was gone. So thank you so much for sticking through. Thank you for putting up with this episode, and I really appreciate that you guys come back and hang out with me every week. I love the community, I love that I'm a part of it, and I just kind of want to make sure that I'm not becoming irrelevant. Let's just say that. So thanks for watching. I will be back in a couple weeks with more interesting stuff to talk about. If you want to follow along on my daily journal, which is Instagram at this point, you can find me as Loose Pages. I do post a lot about my knitting progress and other stuff that happens in my life, including my cats, because let's get real, they're probably the most interesting part about this podcast. And yeah, so if you want to find me on Instagram, my name is Loose Pages. I am Romperlust on Ravelry, and we have a Ravelry group that you're more than welcome to join. So until next time, thank you so much for putting up with me. I hope that you guys are having a wonderful time. I hope that the weather is nice. I hope that you guys are happy and loved. And basically, I'm just gonna sign off at this point and clean up my life. So thanks so much for watching, guys, and I will be back soon. Bye!